amazing honor to have Kevin Wayne Johnson with me. He's the CEO of the Johnson Leadership Group, where he and his team provide leadership development training and executive coaching globally. I know, at least for me personally, how near and dear to my heart leadership is, because without leadership, we can't scale our purpose, we can't scale our impact, can't scale the service that we want to do towards others. So, let's kind of jump right into today's topic. So, Wayne, thank you so much or Kevin, thank you so much for coming in today. And I think you were based out of where again?
I am in Clarksville, Maryland, which is about 40 minutes north of our nation's capital.
All right, beautiful. And I'm here in Brooklyn, New York. So thanks again for coming in. And so, Kevin, let's jump right into today's topic. What are
All
some of
right.
the things that you know that we don't know about developing our leadership team?
Well, one of the things that I talk about a lot with the various leadership audiences, frontline, mid level, and senior level, whether it's government, corporations, churches, nonprofits, or the academic space, and that's where the majority of people are. I'm always on this journey to help all of us as leaders to understand that it's more than just what we know, because there's a certain level of expectation that when we show up, that subject matter expertise will come to shine, the acumen and the intelligence that we bring, the know-how that we bring. But typically what happens is the silent piece that people keep inside, that we are entrusted to lead. What they're thinking and what they're really hoping is that a leader will show up that actually acknowledges the fact that they're there. We give a care that they showed up, that we're going to value their contributions, and that we are going to provide resources and training and other opportunities to develop them to be the best that they can be. Deep down inside, that's what people are hoping for and looking for in their leader. And we share this message around the world because we don't assume that all leaders know this. And it's very, very important. So the leader that shows up, that both know their stuff and gain that credibility, but also aligns with what's in the heart. And that is valuing people, honoring people, respecting people, caring for people, and demonstrating some empathy and compassion along the leadership journey. When those two align, the mind and the heart, we are well on our way to not only good succession planning, but also being a good role model and a phenomenal example. And this is based on what I have experienced and what I have observed over 40 years.
Yeah, I mean, I love that you shared this wisdom from your school of life. I always say from your life experience, because it's all
Right.
lived experience, and we're going to hear a little bit about that as well today. But yeah, I love it. I mean, it's alignment, the alignment between the mind and the heart, which is so
Hmm.
important, so that you could show up as that authentic leader, and then you're empowering other people around you. So you're not maybe leading with that micromanagement mindset, which will not only keep everybody small, but obviously also impact your purpose and your profits, which sometimes that will make leaders listen to the development piece more than maybe these other things that we talked about. So what are some of the problems you've seen, Kevin, from your experience and the work that you're doing on the day to day with leaders? What are some of the problems that you see that if we're not more proactive about sharing the right knowledge information like we're doing today, they can really get in the way of our impact, our purpose, our profits, things that we want to do with our businesses? What are some of the issues, main top five, let's say,
Yeah,
problems?
yeah. Well, for me, it starts with just having a conversation, not even necessarily unpacking communication. That's a different conversation, but just having a chance to talk and enter into some dialogue and some conversations with people, because two things happen when we do that. And the leader has to be the one to take the first step. Number one, we're showing and we're demonstrating that we want to get to know our people. But equally important, we're opening ourselves up to be vulnerable, if you would, for them to get to know us. And what happens is in life, this is part of human behavior. As we get to know each other from the conversations, that leads to a relationship. And then from the relationship, it turns into trust. And once we have the trust, even if we make a wrong decision or solve a problem incorrectly or make a mistake, there's a higher degree of forgiveness that will be provided because we have that trust that's already been involved. And what's happened here over the last 40 years, I just don't see enough of us, the leaders, being proactive and just having a conversation with people. How you doing today? How things going? How's your family? Any good weekend plans? Now, some people will give us feedback and say, "Hey, Kevin, you're getting a little bit too personal. I don't really talk about that at work." But the majority of people welcome that type of a conversation in a very informal way to kind of open up the aperture, if you would, to start to build on these relationships. So I think everything starts with you and I just talking to people very informally. I'm not talking about scheduling something on the calendar and getting into a conference room and closing the door, just a very informal conversation. The second area is how we go about using our influence, because influence has much more to do with making a positive impact than it does making a negative impact. And when we make a positive impact in the lives of others, we keep them inspired, we keep them encouraged, and we keep them motivated to keep showing up and to keep doing their best. And our ability to influence is not just the words that we speak, but it's also the actions that we take. And I always tell leaders, I remind them anyway, because most of us know, but I remind them so that we won't forget. We are role models and we are examples. People will emulate the leadership style that they see coming from us. And that's just a reality. And we have to, again, align it and embrace it and kind of run with it. So having an informal conversation goes a very long way. Taking the time to use your influence, but your influence from the perspective of making a positive impact and not a negative impact. And then last but not least, I know you mentioned five, but these are the top three for me. I believe that the tool that is in the toolbox for leaders that we underutilize the most is delegation. It's a tool that's in our toolbox that we can bring out whenever necessary, just like a roofer, just like a carpenter, just like a car mechanic. I could go on and on and on. They pull out their toolbox and they get the necessary tools to get that job done. But when we delegate in the spirit of wanting to develop, wanting to improve, wanting to prepare for the next level, it is a powerful tool for all of us as leaders to use, because you mentioned earlier about micromanagement, and micromanagement sends a subliminal message that I don't really trust you. I don't really think you have what it takes to get it done. But when we delegate with the intent of helping people to develop and get better, we send a very, very powerful message to our people that I have confidence in you, I trust you, and I have faith in you. And that is very, very powerful.
Mm. Well, all those that you mentioned are absolutely powerful. And I love the one specifically about the connection piece. And sometimes we feel like, everything needs to be on an agenda, but just an open conversation and just connecting like good humans with one another can
Mhm.
go further, faster. Because even in personal relationships, when people feel connected to you, it's so much easier to positively influence them. And they learn, we learn from one another more from our actions and words. So
Absolutely.
everything just can drive the culture of a company that way in a more organic way. And yeah, the more we know about these concepts now, the more we can start to put our armor down. I feel like for a lot of leaders that maybe run successful companies that might be even listening to us today, including me myself, is it's always that, I guess, the fear of letting go,
Mhm.
because you're like, oh my gosh, I built something, I don't know if it's going to fall tomorrow, right? It's always, you always have that fear of that whatever you've built, it's like your empire is going to drop. But it's really, the opposite when we create this nurturing environment amongst one another, and then leverage other people's unique strengths, and help them leverage their own leadership, right? Because we all have leadership inside of us in
Absolutely.
the ways that we all are uniquely built.
Yeah.
So I love the delegation piece as well. Kevin, let me find out a little bit more around. I always like to hear more around the purpose and why are you doing the work that you're doing. So, what were some of the most meaningful moments that you can share with us that led you to this work?
Yeah, well, I tell you, throughout my 34-year career with the federal government as a frontline, mid-level, and senior level leader, I started with the Department of Defense around the mid-year portion of my career. Around year 10, I matriculated to the Department of Treasury, stayed there for 10 years, and then came back home to the Department of Defense. And I'm gonna tell you, I had some wonderful sponsors and some wonderful champions that saw something in me that I could not see in myself because we all have blind spots. And they were able to help me, assist me, advocate for me, negotiate on my behalf, and get me in the right direction. And I just remember how that made me feel. And it gave me the impetus to make sure that as I rose through the ranks to make sure that I would do the same for others, that's how I would thank those that supported me. Conversely, probably all of us have a story. There were some leaders in my circle who did not have my best interest in mind, did not care for Kevin Wayne Johnson, did not support me, did not look out for me, did not develop me, did not have a succession plan for me. And I remember how that made me feel. So, on one end, I'm super psyched, I'm motivated, I'm inspired. And then on the other end of the spectrum, I'm deflated and I feel less than, and I don't have what it takes. And I always remember the difference between how it made me feel. So prior to retirement and then standing up my own company, my last position was as chief of staff. And as the chief of staff, I have an opportunity now to touch every portion of the organization, or in my case, the government agency. You oversee IT, property, security, human resources, all of the training, all of the coaching, facilities, property. I could go on and on and on. And I'm also responsible for the people, making sure that they're taken care of, hire the right group, making sure we have a high retention rate. And I would see and I would hear the stories from those on the staff that were treated very well by their leader, and the other group, not so much. And it would always bring back those memories. And it just dawned on me, this is something that I would like to take on as a life's mission, not realizing that I had already started while I was working with the government, but now I want to continue that. And that's really been the motivation. That's the history. That's the chronological background that has me in the place and space that I am now,
Mm,
helping leaders to understand that, listen, we get credibility when we show up and we demonstrate that we know our work role and we know the work role of those that we are entrusted to lead. And I didn't say delegation was easy, but it's a powerful tool because most of us as leaders, we know we can probably do the work better than those that are there because we've already done it. But that's not our role anymore. Our role is now to take care of those that are there to get the work done. And so that's been my modus operandi. That's how I operate. That's what keeps me motivated each and every day. And that's the work that we're doing here in the U.S. and the work that we're doing abroad as well. I just believe that better leaders make the world a much better place. I really do. We're not looking at people as workers, although they are. We're there to get paid. We get good benefits. We accrue vacation. I get all of that. There's an expectation based on the words in the job description, but they're people with real challenges, real issues, real situations that they're dealing with, in addition to coming to work every day and trying to be a high achiever. And so if a leader will just take the time, again, to have a conversation, get to know your people, allow them to get to know you, it just makes for a much safer, better, more productive place, team, division, organization. I've seen it happen time and time again. And that's what we pour into all of the leaders that we train and that we coach and that we mentor.
Yeah, well, I mean, your story is very inspiring, and I can resonate with it so much on my own as well. On the impact of other people, right? You just never know how you're impacting somebody in today's world with a lot of this technology that we have at hand. Sometimes we forget the purpose behind the work that we do. We never know how maybe a word that we said can impact somebody, or a knowledge, or an experience, or an authentic storytelling moment can maybe open up, plant a seed in somebody's mind, right? So be
Mhm.
the light that obviously um, paid forward for all the other people that have seen the light in you. I could attest to a lot of the stories in my experience as well, for people that were there to see all the things that maybe I couldn't see, and how when you actually experience that, you want to give that back. And that's how we get to multiply the impact that we can have on towards others. And absolutely, I also believe that good people that are operating with strong values and really believe in the work that they do, these are the people that are absolutely going to impact and change the world, because from one person you get to do two, three, four, and that's how you get to expand the impact that you get to make. Kevin, what is your unique methodology in how you help your clients? I would like to find out a little bit more regarding that, and also if you can tell me one authentic insight that you have had from working with leaders, not just in the business world, based on what you shared, but also leaders in other industries. What is maybe one authentic, unique insight that you've seen as like a common pattern between all that you can share with us today as well?
Okay, absolutely. I'm going to start with the second part of your question, the latter part first, because again, whether it's government, city, county, state, or federal, whether it's corporation, small, medium, or large, whether it's a church, a nonprofit organization, or an academic institution, community college, 4-year college, university, high school. These are typically the audiences that we work with, that we have contact with, and that we pour into, because that's where people are in the marketplace. I always keep people in mind, and I always share with them that there is a gap between what the people that we're leading are looking for in their leader and what we, the leaders, are actually delivering. And how can we work together to close that gap? And that usually gets people's attention right off the gate, right out the gate. It just like I get wide eyes. I'm like, really? It's a lot of us don't know it because we're just so incredibly busy, and that's not a fault, but we're so incredibly busy as it relates to what we're trying to get done day in and day out. We have work on our shoulders. We have people that we're responsible for. We're trying to meet the need of the customer. Stakeholders have a responsibility to make sure that we're on track. And I could just go on and on and on. The demands from our boss, etc. So I wanted to start with that first because that gap needs to be closed. Now, to the earlier part of your question, the former part of your question is where I talk about one more time how we started the conversation. The alignment between what's going on in our minds, that's the subject matter expertise, the intelligence, and the acumen that's coming forth that we demonstrate each and every day. We have the know how. We're the right person in the role because we understand the role. But more important than that, because that's just one piece of it, the heart. Aligning the mind with the heart, because it's in the heart. It's a matter of the heart that we choose to show respect for others. We choose to care for others. We choose to provide resources, share information, get them access to training, develop them, help them to improve. I could go on and on and on. And this is also where the compassion and the empathy come as well. And I recognize that as leaders, we're not therapists and we're not counselors, but having that conversation with people and getting to know them and demonstrating some level of compassion and empathy is a form of being a counselor and a therapy. And that's how we can help people to heal. Because if we have a team or an organization that's walking around on pins and needles, on eggshells, and tiptoeing through the tulips and not really comfortable with sharing what's really going on the inside, then we have an entire team of people that are internalizing how they feel. And now that leads to a whole nother issue as it relates to physical health and mental health. So we encourage leaders to sort of rethink the methodologies, rethink the practicum, rethink the theory that we usually get in school, and that's applied now more of a holistic approach to leadership. So as it relates to the former part of your question and the latter part of your question, that's how I live. That's how I leave it, and hopefully that's adding some value to our conversation today.
All right. No, absolutely. You've added tons of value. So I want to thank you for your time and the amazing service that you are putting out there in the world and helping so many people in their journeys to scaling and leveling up their level of leadership, because everybody else rises and around us. It's not under anywhere. It's around us. We all
Exactly.
can do that together. So Kevin, I we have featured your website on the screen. Can you maybe
hmm
also lead people into your website? And is there any sort of resources or guides that you like to highlight or mention if they go to the website? Where can they begin if they go and check out the work that you're doing and further continue this conversation and connection with you as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. So, right there on the homepage at thejohnsonleadershipgroup.com, you'll see right away we talk about why we exist. What is our mission? Why are we doing what we're doing? And then what's the vision? What is the vision toward creating leaders of excellence at all levels? And then we break down what I call our 5 strategic priorities. And everything is listed there. The other thing that we do in terms of sharing with everyone, as because we enjoy working with a diverse audience and a diverse group, and so we actually have all of the various organizations that we've worked with over the years, and you see representation from government, corporations, churches, nonprofits, and again academic institutions. We have those relationships. What we really do though is we tailor all of our curriculum, all of our training, all of our coaching to the need of that particular customer. So there's no monolithic way to handle this, and having good robust conversations with those that want to bring us into their organization, we have a conversation around how can we tailor it so that we can fulfill your mission, your vision, and your core values. And so you also see our pretty comprehensive list of the different sessions that we offer, including the executive coaching as well. It's all there. Our events calendar is there, so you'll see the different events that we're doing. I'm also an author, so we have information about our books, Leadership with a Servant's Heart. And we do offer a complimentary 20-minute coaching session. All you have to do is go to the website and just sign up, send us an email, and we'll provide a complimentary 20-minute coaching session for you as well. So we try to make it as self-contained as we possibly can, and I think we've done that. You'll also hear Kevin Wayne Johnson doing what we're doing here on this podcast, the great work that's taking place here. You'll see me on some of the other podcasts as well, talking about this same theme, leadership, but in a slightly different way. But I tell you, the Life School Masterclass podcast, just that title alone captivates me. That's pretty awesome. I love it. I absolutely love Life School Masterclass. I love that.
Well, thank you so much, Kevin. We have so much alignment. So thank you so much for also walking people through, because sometimes our website becomes our hub and our home, and we tend to put a lot of resources there, but we got to just navigate, give people a little guide around, because you know how we can get lost in all these different links that we check
Oh
out.
yeah.
Thank you
Oh
so
yeah.
much for, again, the work you're doing, everything that you're sharing with us today. And yeah, here at the Life School is all about bringing people on, sharing their insights and authentic experiences, because we all have it. So sharing it, there's only 2 ways that I know how to impact others, whether it's me sharing something or writing about it. And this is that channel to be able to do so. So I want to thank you, encourage all of you listeners to go and check out Kevin's website and all the amazing work that he's doing out there with his team. And I want to say thank you for your attention today. And I hope that you connected a few dots, right? Because that's why we usually listen to anything that we do, right? Just like Kevin said, to connect the right dot in the moment right now, that you might have it or experience that as a gap. So I hope that this conversation served you well. And don't forget to support, subscribe, review, and share the show. And we still have a few sponsor spots available for people that are aligning with our mission. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time with another show and conversation. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Are you looking to expand your brand, your message, your high-level quality relationships through with speaking to other people's audiences that are aligned towards your audience? Well, then I would love to introduce you to our Life School C-Suite Community Expert Program, where every week you'll get connected with 10 plus speaking opportunities, whether they're for visibility purposes, paid, TEDx, and podcasts. This way, you will get all these activities on your calendar, and you'll ensure that you are showing up in all these different stages, and then obviously bring people back to your ecosystem. Something else that we also have created inside the community is strategic introductions. We make strategic introductions for you and your business so that you can leverage those relationships, share audiences, share resources, profit share, or even land potential clients that might be looking for the support that you are looking for. In addition to all these benefits, you can also come into any of the Life School speaking events that we host here in our community of over 30,000 seasoned CEOs, where you can participate, you can share your message, but also most importantly, be connected to other amazing high-level CEOs that are also doing more good in the world with their mission and the work that they're out there accomplishing. So I would love for you to check it out at elonalopari.com C-Suite program, so that you can get more information on if this program